All right, I understand now that you've been on hold while I've been going through these slides, so sorry about that, everyone. That's what happens when you leave the president of the company in charge of the PowerPoint, and Kara, that normally runs these calls, is out with a sick child today. So bear with me as I start this over again. Most of you saw that opening slide that was a survey talking about what version of Cherwell are you currently using today. I'm very interested in seeing who's on many different versions there, and we'll talk about that as we get close to the end of the slide or end of the presentation. What I've thrown up on the picture right now is a slide deck of our existing customers. After our last presentation, I was asked, hey, why don't you ever show a list of who else is using Cherwell? So this is just customers that AMP is working with that own and use Cherwell today. On the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there is a chat section. We have over 51 companies represented on today's webinar. So I've got all the phones muted, a lot of people on the call. If you've got a question you want to ask it, feel free to do so in that chat window in the bottom left-hand corner. Just select Matthew Peoples as the person you're sending that chat to. I'll queue all those up, and at the end of the presentation, I will ask Eric or I may interrupt him as he's going through his part of the presentation. But use that chat window at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen to be able to interact with us and ask us some questions. All right. Most of you probably are aware of this. Here's just a quick about us and AMP. Right, we spend a lot of our time working on Enterprise Service Catalog. That's the reason why Cherwell recruited us as a partner. We've been a partner for about 18 months. We love what we can do with Cherwell, and we're really about that beyond IT story. So the majority of our customers are using Cherwell in ways beyond just the IT department. So HRs, facilities, legal, fleet, lots of different groups using Cherwell. And we have a good story to tell around that. Much like Cherwell, we are great at the ITIL, IT Service Management piece. You can see that Forrester Wave, I've got a picture of the wave that they did last year where they looked at consulting partners, and AMP is the only Cherwell partner listed in that screen there, and we were recognized as a strong performer. And what they loved about us the most is helping customers go off of a legacy mindset, how we used to do it, to doing something better today. We were the top ranked out of everyone in that analysis in helping customers deal with a legacy system. We do get a lot of questions around asset management, so I threw that on this slide as well. We grew up in the Altiris world, so we've got SECM experience, we've got Altiris experience, we definitely have got ESM or Express Software Manager from Cherwell. So if you've got questions around, hey, we want to interface, we want to do things with Cherwell, with a discovery tool, we would love to help you there as well. And the important last bullet point is we are 100% Cherwell focused. We're not selling and working with other solutions. We are really good at Cherwell, and that's where our focus is at today. I want to throw these two slides up. I'm very proud of the fact that we have built some pretty slick technology on top of the Cherwell platform. We would not be able to do that if it wasn't for version 6 and version 7. So that's part of what today's highlight is talking about what's new in version 7 of Cherwell. If you've got a facilities group that's interested in using Cherwell, we've got a completely fully baked facilities management, property management solution that's on Cherwell. I've got data sheets, I've got demos, I've got everything I can do to help you with that information. Feel free to email me and I can get that over to your hands. We're not going to highlight that today, but I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of that. And the same thing from a facility standpoint. Most people, when I show this slide, they go, well, yeah, we've got HR. We can already do onboarding with Cherwell today. That's built into the system. Yes, it is, but it's an IT-only focus. With our HR module that we've built, actually goes all the way back from a true HR department and when they're actually doing a job posting, and manages from job posting to interview process to selecting the right candidate to then the stuff that you would traditionally know with Cherwell's out of box, right? It will do the onboarding process, but it's not just onboarding the IT side of things. It's onboarding every aspect. We can get in touch with the facilities group and get the desk and furniture and things lined up. We can get in touch with the fleet group and get a car lined up for them. So the true onboarding or offboarding of a resource is what our HR app allows us to accomplish. And we get a lot of customers that ask about our portal designs. So I've got a couple of ones. I mean, they're kind of stacked here, so you're not easily able to see those. But I brought up Envision Radiology, one of the last ones we've worked on here, just purely from the standpoint that you see IT is just one of many options there, but they're using it for their HR group, for medical records, for sales and marketing, for accounting. And if you were to click these buttons, it's actually going to drill into other areas in their organization. So this is all driven by their service catalog. And again, would not have been able to do the stuff that we're accomplishing today if it wasn't for Cherwell 6 and Cherwell version 7. So that's the last of my slides. I'm going to put the question slide up here in case you want to reach me directly. Again, I'm the president of the company. I will get you in contact with anyone on our team that you've got questions for, so you can email me directly, or that's my direct line. You can always email consulting@ampemail.com, or you can visit that link. Is all of our Cherwell information. So while you take a look at that, I'm going to figure out how to get Eric up and going here so he can show you what's new with version 7. So Eric, is your phone unmuted yet?
Can you hear me?
There, I definitely can hear you. So Eric, remember today, we've got a lot of people on the call, and you've got a mix of existing Cherwell. I'm looking down the list of people that are on this call. I've got existing Cherwell users, and you saw from that initial survey that we had several that said, I'm on version 6, I'm on version 5. But we also have customers today that are not Cherwell users. So I know we've got a short amount of time. I tried to run through those slides really quick. So you've got about 50 minutes to give us an overview of Cherwell 7. Keep in mind you've got existing users, so they're curious about what's new, but we've also got users that have never seen or been exposed to Cherwell before. The good part is we're here. If you want to see something, a deeper dive of Cherwell 7, if you're new to Cherwell and you've got questions on, hey, I want to figure out how to see change management, or boy, that HR stuff you were talking about, that looks interesting. Show me a demo of that. If you will email me, mpeoples@ampemail.com, I'll take care of doing that. So Eric, I believe I can grant control to you.
Yeah, I think it should come up about now.
You've got it. So again, if you've got questions, use that chat window, bottom left-hand corner. Just direct those questions specifically to me, Matthew Peoples, and I will queue those up for the end. So Eric, go ahead.
All right, should be seeing a Cherwell portal right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so once again, thanks everybody for joining us today. Our plan is to go over what's new in 7. We will touch on just general information on Cherwell, since we do have some non-Cherwell users on the call as well. So first thing we're going to look at is the customer portal. So this is where your end users would come in, log tickets, check the status of existing tickets, things of that nature, search knowledge base. This is the out-of-the-box Cherwell portal. This is a brand new 7. So we have some information opened up for us. We can see some knowledge articles and open up some tickets for us. We can go ahead and log in. And it looks like my session expired. My apologies. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to log in. And we can sync this with Active Directory to use your Windows credentials, do pass-through authentication, things like that. So we're now logged into the portal. Just real quick, just to show you, we have knowledge articles. We do have the ability to search those. We can look for knowledge articles. For example, this was Adobe. We can look through and then, did it solve our issue? Do we like it, not like it? If we say no, it'll log an issue and attach this article to it, and we can do different reportings off of that. Jumping back, so at the bottom here we can see our open requests, change requests, active issues, my device is assigned to me, so configuration items, and then open service requests. So we can view details, we can see these open tickets that we have, click into them, and view status of them, see who's assigned, cancel the request if need be. So one of the big things that was added within Cherwell 7 that probably most of you are aware of, that are familiar with the release notes and things, is a shopping cart feature. So we're going to go ahead and take a look, and it's this icon here, service orders. We see my orders and my service card. So what we'll do is we're just going to go ahead and go to the service catalog right now. So this is the out-of-the-box service catalog. It is a dynamically built within Cherwell, so it's one thing that makes Cherwell unique. It's based off of your service category and subcategory. It's literally check boxes that you check that builds this catalog. There are some different views, so you can change the look and feel of this. Again, this is just the out-of-the-box. So what we'll show you is a new employee setup. Now, the shopping cart is only there for service requests. So let me show you an incident real quick. So I'll just do a submit incident. And we see our standard screen with the submit button. So that just goes ahead and automatically submits it into the Cherwell system for you. Then the technicians can work that ticket, contact end users, just a normal workflow. When we click on a service request within the service catalog, so for example, new employee setup, you'll notice that it's now add to cart. So again, the add to cart feature is only for service requests. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out some of this here. Now, what we're looking at is a specific form within Cherwell. So based on a combination of service and subcategory, we can show different forms, different fields to gather specific information for that request. So an onboarding process would have different fields than, say, a request for a projector or a conference room. So those would pull back completely different forms within the system. So I filled this out to the best of my ability at this time, and I'm just going to go ahead and add to cart. And what it does is it creates a cart for us and adds it to it. So we get this grid list. So we can see this is going to be the cart number. Our item, description, cost. So if there is cost associated with that request, we see that. Now I could go ahead and submit this order, but let's say I wanted to do another request. I could come in, go to the service catalog, scroll down, we'll take a look at request a projector. So again, I mentioned before, the specific form. So you see this has different fields associated with it. So again, that's that whole specific forms within Cherwell. Go ahead and fill this out. All right. So once I fill it out, I filled out whatever I need. I click Add to Cart. We now add on top of or add together with that previous request. So we see it's 7043-1 and then -2. So it's all within that same cart. Now I could submit this order. I could go back, submit another request if I wanted to, or add another request to the cart. Now, let's say, for example, I'm sitting here, I get sidetracked, and I get logged out. You have timeouts on web browsers and IIS, or I just want to come back later and just log out. I can log out of the system, so I'm no longer logged into the portal. I can go back. And I can come up to service orders and go my service cart. And my orders are still there in that cart. So I can create those, I can come back later, and then submit them if I want to. So I'll just go ahead and submit order. And we see order number 7043, so that's that number we saw with the -1, -2. And then it's been submitted, we'll get a confirmation when they've been entered in the system. So I'll hit OK. All right, now open service request was at 4, now it's at 6. So I can go here and see my new employee and new projector request. I can also come up to service orders and view my orders. So this will actually show us the cart and whether they're grouped together or not. So you see some previous ones in the out-of-the-box content. here, but then we have the 2 that I just submitted. So I can open those up just like a normal service request and view that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump into the technician side. So I'm done with the customer portal. I've submitted my request. Now I'm waiting for the support desk to work those tickets. So I'm going to go into the blue client here. All right, so we're now in the blue client. This is the technician side of things where people go in and work tickets. For those of you that are not familiar with Cherwell, when you log in, you're presented with a dashboard. This dashboard that I'm looking at is the My Work. So it's information around my users. I'm logged in as Andrew. So I see incidents requests owned by me, owned by my team, change requests, tasks. I see that information to see what tickets I have that need to work. Version 7 of Cherwell actually added some dashboards. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of those. So I go to Dashboards, Dashboard Manager. We'll take a look at the IT management. So they added some management some management style dashboards here. There is a IT Manager dashboard, and we see information around tickets submitted in the whole system. So incidents, service requests. We see it broken down by status, any CIs that are currently down, by service, by team. So this is a manager coming in, wanting to see the overall performance of the service desk at this time. There's some executive. They also added, it's one I want to show you, is this IT technician dashboard. So it's almost a replacement for the My Work. It shows my user, so information around my user, and it's so my teams. So again, if I'm a member of multiple teams, I see that. My open service requests, my open tasks, just a different view of that My Work if you want to use this. And you can use them both as well and completely customize these. Anything we're looking at within Cherwell, whether it's the portal that we logged into, I know Matthew showed the customer portal that we've customized, none of that requires coding within Cherwell. Everything's drag and drop, widget-based, no need to know HTML or .NET or any code within Cherwell. So that's one thing that definitely sets it apart. Very easy to create and maintain. A lot of different out-of-the-box widgets. We saw the donut chart, the previous one. A bunch of different charts and searches to help you out. There was also some change management dashboards that were added. So there's a change manager and owner / owned by. So we see my open changes, anything assigned to me, just again, kind of a My Work, but in the change management side. Lastly, there's a cab and executive dashboard. So we see an overview, like we saw with the IT management. It was an overview of the incident, service request. This is an overview of change management. So we see open changes, changes by team, anything awaiting approval, that kind of stuff. So let's jump back, and we'll actually take a look at our tickets that we submitted. So I'm just going to view all tickets here. And we'll notice that we have a new column called Service Order Number. So this is allowing us to group those service requests by that order number that was submitted. So we can see the -1, -2, and know what's in that cart. We'll take a look at our new employee setup. All right, so this is the technician's view of a ticket. On the left-hand side, we have the requester. This is, we can sync this with Active Directory. We can search it. So if I type in Tracy or a different user, it'll find that user for us. We don't have to go through and select it. We have an owner, so we can assign it to teams and then individuals out of that team. We do have SLAs, so we actually have flexible SLAs in where that we can have a corporate default SLA, which we see here, but we can also do SLAs based off of service off of a specific customer, maybe a VIP. They may have a stricter SLA, CI SLAs. We can do SLAs off of quite a bit of stuff within Cherwell to make it fit within your business need. So one thing that kind of changed within version 7 is actually added this escalate link here. So this is done through the subcategory table. So just to take a look at this real quick. So we have incident subcategory. For those of you that are familiar with Cherwell, this is where we start listing out our service category, subcategories. Well, some things that were changed, we have these different drop downs here. So we have default team. So that's an auto assignment team. So if this subcategory is chosen, then it assigns to that team automatically for us. But we then have these escalations, so we can have that link which shows an escalate to level 2 or an escalate to a level 3. So we can change that to our different teams and then escalate with a simple click of a link. Okay, go back to our ticket here. Again, our specific form with the information we filled out from the portal. So another thing that was added, and you may notice that there's already some tasks down here within our form arrangement. So in previous versions of Cherwell, there was always an out-of-the-box approval on a new employee setup. And that's still there if you want to utilize that in version 7. But version 7 added a service catalog template business object. So we had the ability to set up templates for a specific service catalog item. So the new employee setup, we have things set up where it automatically creates these different tasks upon submission. So taking a look here, we have acquire a laptop, deliver equipment. These are all different tasks that have to be completed in order for this request to be closed. For those not familiar, all tasks do have to be closed before a ticket is closed out itself. But tasks are utilized to divvy out work to different people in order to complete something. So to take a look at these service catalog templates, I'm just going to go over here to service catalog, click go, and then we have new employee setup. So again, this allows us to create a template around the service catalog items, and we see here in the middle our service category, subcategory, so we can choose what this applies to. We can have a category for these templates as well, and easily create new items if you want to. But then we have these work unit orders. So what this allows us to do is create these, and you'll notice they have the same title as our tasks did. So these essentially become tasks whenever we submit the request from the service catalog. Now, there's an automation process that runs and translates these into tasks. And they're very easy to add, so I can click add a work unit. And these are pre-built within the system already, but I can create new ones if I wanted to. I can delete certain ones, so if I want to take something out, I can do that. I can reorder them, so right now it's 1 through 7, but if I wanted to make number 2, so I can say select number 2, and it should go in front of number 1. So now they just moved, and deliver equipment is the first in the list now. So we also have the ability to add dependencies and remove dependencies. So you'll see here it says dependent upon. So these two items are dependent upon acquire a laptop. So when those tasks are created, it automatically makes that link that acquire a laptop has to be completed before unbox and provide email account can start to work. So it's very easy to create those dependent tasks. If you're familiar with doing those, it can get a little complicated in a one-step to create the different dependent tasks. Here, I can add one, say it's dependent, very easy to create, very easy to remove those dependencies So very cool functionality that was added in version 7. Work units. So again, this is just listing out the actual work units. This was the order of them that get created, and then the service that it's tied to. Employee support, so we see that. So we can also, so another thing that was added alongside of the service catalog template here is that we have a supplier business object. So the supplier business object was already in previous versions. It was called vendor. So basically they just renamed vendor into supplier. But they also added a whole lot more functionality to this. So take a look here. So I don't know if anybody's really familiar with what vendor was in previous versions, but it was very slimmed down to say maybe this top section, and that was it. So now we have a lot more data that we can capture. We can see work units that are tied to the supplier. So maybe you have an external supplier. You can assign the different things to them. We see active tasks assigned to the supplier. We can also start to do scorecards. So it's based on certain criteria. The performance, the OLAs of these people or these companies. We can pull back different scorecards, risk assessments. We can see service complaints. So if somebody calls in and says, hey, something went wrong with this order, we can log a new service complaint and, maybe poor item quality. So we can start logging different complaints against the services or against the supplier, which then in turn affects our scorecards and things like that. So very cool functionality around the supplier that was added. So let's jump back here to our incident. Okay. So just to show real quick for those new to Cherwell, just real quick touch on some of this. So we have the journals. So journals are where you can add what you've done to this ticket. So maybe I went through and left a voicemail for somebody. I can tie that to a journal. Any email that gets captured gets logged as a journal-email. Any fields that were changed, we see that with a journal-history, so we capture that within the journals. Similar incidents, so anything with the service and category gets added, and we can see what's opened in the environment with that specific categorization. For those of you that are on 5 and may not have necessarily seen 6 or 7, one thing that was added was this Tracy's open incidents in the last 30 days. So I say Tracy because Tracy's the requester, so it's really customers open incidents. This was added in version 6, but again, if you haven't seen that and you're on version 5, this may be new to you. So what this is anything Tracy has opened in our current environment. So it doesn't matter the date or that this was created, it shows it. So we see some back in July, and we can just see if maybe they've opened duplicate tickets. Maybe we see a trend going on. They're always having issues with this. We can see that.
So, hey, Eric, so while you're there, I've got a couple of questions that's come in off of that journal, so I want to stop you right there. Is there a way to modify the description field in the journal, the history area?
Like after it's been submitted?
Let's go with that, yes.
Okay. So depending on the rights, once it's saved, we can definitely lock it down where, once it's submitted, we don't want people to go back and edit the journal. We've had customers that want to do that. We've had customers that do want them to be able to edit. Maybe they mistyped something. They want them to go back. So I've seen it both ways, but within Cherwell, we can definitely lock that down based on security rights where the details is not editable at all or it is editable. You can make managers be able to edit it and level 1 support techs not be able to edit. So also this Visible in Customer Portal, just to kind of touch on journals again. So this allows us to see the journal notes within the portal. So where we first started out, if I went in as the customer, checked on this ticket, I could see the journal note that was added. So, and that's what that Visible in Customer Portal allows. So if maybe they don't want this to be seen, they can uncheck it, and then it's only an internal, say, technician-to-technician note. So hopefully that answers the question there. Any other questions on that, Matthew?
Keep going. Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but that was one I wanted to stop you on. So I know we still have people that have joined here late. Looks like everyone is going to join. For those of y'all that joined late, you should have a chat window that you can ask questions. If you will direct those questions directly to Matthew Peoples, that's myself, I'm going to queue those up and ask Eric at the very end, or I will jump in and interrupt him as he's going through if it's a good spot. So thank you, Eric. Keep going.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we had the last 30 days, so kind of self-explanatory. It's any ticket within the last 30 days that our requester has submitted, whether it's still opened or as we see it's resolved or closed, and we do see that here. So just kind of tools to help you, maybe resolve this issue. If it's the same request they submitted, you can go see that resolution. If they're submitting the same thing over and over, we can see that. Configuration item. So we do have the ability to tie configuration items to a request. That can be done through the primary CI. So if I just click the button here and change this to all, because it was on mobile, she don't have a mobile. So she has a computer, and we now have Tracy's computer tied to this request. We pretty often we see the CMDB, which so we see the CMDB tied to other asset management systems in order to populate it. It doesn't have to be. You can manually populate it. You can import it via CSV. But 9 times out of 10, it's populated, whether it's ESM, SCCM, Altiris. We can do an integration from Cherwell to that system and import your assets over. That way you don't have to manually update it. That's the most common thing we've seen. Change request, so if this request or incident had a change request tied, we would see that, and then problem. So any problems that are tied, we would see that. All right, we'll go ahead and jump over to the admin side. Matthew, if there's no questions that would be around here.
So not so much around this. Eric, are you going to touch on change management at all?
I can.
Spend a few minutes touching on change before you go over to that, and then jump on over to admin. We're getting some questions around just change management and approvals.
Okay. All right. So within Cherwell, it is fully functional in an ITIL point of view, in that we have incident, service requests, problem management, change management, all that's built in Cherwell. Of course, we can customize that to fit your needs. We'll go ahead and take a look at the out-of-the-box change request here. And there's 3 different types of changes within Cherwell. There's a normal, which we see here, but there's also an emergency and a standard. So the normal approval has a, let's call it a 2-phase approval. There's an assessment approval, and then there's an implementation approval as well. So once it's submitted, you go through, you then have an assessment phase. The emergency does not have that assessment phase. It's only an implementation approval. The theory on that is that an emergency change has to go through a whole lot quicker than a normal change would. And then we have a standard change. So think of a standard change as a pre-approved change. There's no approvals behind it. It's something you do all the time. It's very common. One big example we see pretty often is Microsoft updates. So it's always done, the third Saturday of every month. You just put a standard change in that gets, there for reference, and you move forward. So that way you can still track that information, see that something was done in the environment, but it didn't really require a formal CAB approval with a majority vote, that kind of stuff. So we'll take a look at a normal here. Let's do test change. We have reasons, so maybe it's a change of business requirements. We can select our service and our priority. It does require a CI to be tied to it. So I can do a start date. Now you'll notice I select these dates. We start getting these little messages pop up. So this CI has a maintenance window tied to it. So it comes up and says, hey, there's a maintenance window. Your change is outside that maintenance window. Do you want to create an emergency change? If not, we need to come in and change our start dates to coincide with that maintenance window. All right, so once we do that, we can click next, and we do our assess. So I can fill out my risk, backout plan, any of these fields, and again, it can be completely customized to fit your needs. And something happened. My mouse stopped working.
So Eric, while you're doing that, I know we've got several people asking questions about approvals.
Yeah.
So I know one of the things that we see a lot of customers ask is if they've got end users, and this is several of the questions kind of merged together.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got end users that are not existing in Cherwell today, can they do approvals through email?
Okay.
In other words, can Cherwell send them an email, they click a button that says approved, and it comes in and updates the workflow in Cherwell?
Okay. Yep, and I'm going to assume the word users there means licensed users or customers?
No, based on what I'm seeing from the questions, this would be a non-Cherwell user today. This may be somebody's, they've got a change that they need, somebody that isn't using Cherwell but is in their organization needs to approve.
Okay.
Cherwell send them an email, let them approve it, and continue down the workflow.
Gotcha. Okay. So the answer is yes. We can definitely do emails via approval, do approvals via email. Said that backwards there. There's no problem. So we can send out an email. It has a link. You click that, and it basically sends out another email that does an approval. One thing we do have also is a customer-based approvals map. So for those of you that are familiar with the out-of-the-box approvals within Cherwell, it only allows you to do licensed technicians approvals. So, in the bottom form arrangement here, we would, out of the box, you can only do licensed users. So we have an MApp that is available that will actually add functionality where you can have customers do the approvals as well, and it also allows them to go into the customer portal, and you can have a widget that shows maybe pending approvals for that customer, and they can go in and actually click an approve button. So we have the option of email, but we also have the option of opening up in the customer portal if they're not that licensed user. So it's something that a lot of our customers are using now. They really like having that ability to allow customers to go in and approve something through the customer portal.
So Eric, why don't we spend the next 5 minutes, because I've got a lot of questions I need to bounce off of you that come in, because we want to try to get this landed on time. We get a lot of people asking about change and some detailed change information. So one of the things I want to do is if you're interested in doing a change deep dive session, we'll pull that together. So you just need to email me, and we'll invite everyone that's interested in change to participate in that. So you just need to email me, or you can chat with me and just tell me, hey, definitely let me know. It looks like we've got about 6 different companies interested in a whole lot more around change. But Eric, spend the next 4 or 5 minutes wrapping up Cherwell 7. What's the big stuff? What should they be excited over about Cherwell 7? And then when you get wrapped up with that, I'm going to start pounding you with questions.
Okay. Yeah, and my machine is completely locked up. So I'll do some talking here. So, version 7, start talking about the admin side kind of here is that, they've added some things in the back end of Cherwell that really add some great functionality. So we have a performance health check. So it's basically a tool that allows us to run against the database. We can see the performance, different indexes. We can start gathering information. Maybe you're having a slow system. You can run that performance health check and you actually pull back results and view those. You can also send those results to Cherwell. So, if you have a ticket with Cherwell support, you can run that health check and then send that over to them. Also, one of the big things that was added around SaaS customers is the trusted agent server integration. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to integrate a SaaS-based Cherwell system. For those of you that aren't too familiar with Cherwell, is they do offer a SaaS-based as well as an on-prem solution. So if you choose that SaaS-based and you use the trusted agent server integration, it allows you to integrate Active Directory, LDAP, so your on-prem LDAP integration, Active Directory. It allows you to integrate that with the SaaS-based Cherwell without a VPN connection. So before Cherwell required a VPN in order to do that LDAP integration. Now with the trusted agent server, that is no longer required. So that's something that's pretty big. I know a lot of people are liking that they don't have to have that VPN anymore. They also added some scan alerts for blueprints. It's kind of a minor thing there, but it's just an additional information upon the scan to let you know what's going on when you do publish that blueprint. Again, for those not familiar with blueprints, it's basically how you do back-end work on Cherwell. And I say back-end work as in adding new fields, creating forms. Those are published in a blueprint, which you do have the ability to roll those blueprints back. So if something messes up, once you publish it, maybe you didn't realize it affected something else, you can roll that back and you're where you were before without affecting anything. So Matthew, my apologies, my machine is actually totally locked up, so it's hard to show anything, but if there's any questions, we can kind of talk through those.
Yeah, so let me start hammering you with some questions here. So, hey, I can answer some of these questions. Is this webinar being recorded? Yes. We always record our webinars, so if you want a copy of the recording, most of you have asked me that in chats. I've been giving you how to get to that information once it's done. But if you want a copy of the recording, just email me, mpeoples. When we're done, I'll throw the slide back up with my email account, but mpeoples@ampemail.com. So that's there. We've got a lot of questions around upgrading, and are we a part of version 8? So, Eric, I know today we're in the beta program for version 8.
Correct.
Have you specifically been a part of the beta program, or is that other guys on the team?
Some of the other guys, I've been heads down on some projects, so I have not had the time to look into that yet, but we definitely have members of our team that are looking at the beta version and dissecting it and learning it.
You've got 2 or 3 of your customers actually sitting on this call right now, Eric, so make sure you're doing a good job representing. So yes, for those that's asking about version 8, it is in beta today. We've got multiple members of our team participating in that beta, which brings up that question of, hey, I'm on version 5. Why is Cherwell on this fast path of getting all these versions out? That's a whole different conversation we can have. I don't want to get into that deep today. If you've got questions around why they're doing that, email me and I'll answer those questions. But if you're trying to get from one version to the next, the easy part with Cherwell, that typically is a very easy upgrade. We do have an upgrade factory that helps customers work through upgrades, so if you're nervous and you want some assistance, it really is pretty much a health check, checking out to make sure that your current version is right and working the way it's supposed to. We help you walk through an upgrade to be sure that it is ready for the upgrade, and then help you flip that switch, whether you're on-prem or SaaS. We're there to help you through that process. So for all of the ones that are asking upgrade questions, I can answer that. So Eric, let me hit you with this one. So this is a little bit of ESM feel for it. So this came in right when I was talking about our experience with asset management. And so the question is, does Cherwell have components of software management, or really, because later I've chatted with Jean on this, really what she's trying to do is manage software licenses. So can you take a moment to speak about what is in traditional Cherwell Service Management, and then how we would do that with the Express Software Manager or some other tool?
Yep. So this Cherwell Service Management, it is more of a ticketing system. It does have a CMDB within it, so you can create those software license types, and you can manage that. It's more of a manual process within CSM. However, if you have ESM, or the Express Software Management or Manager, that is a huge software licensing. It is, they are known for their software license database. It's used by a lot of different asset management companies. So, they use ESM's database. But, that is now part of Cherwell. It has a purchasing module within it. It is an agent-based asset management. So, like Altiris or things like that. You do install an agent, and it queries the machines. It finds your software. You can type in your licenses, purchase orders, and it will tell you if you are, over, under your licensing. It will help you become compliant if you're not. It is actually a very powerful tool that we are seeing people use and integrate within Cherwell, or Cherwell Service Management. So you can import those computers over. You can see the software that's installed. We get that information from ESM. It's that integration opens up a world of possibilities for you when you integrate CSM with ESM. Hopefully that answers this question there.
Yeah, no, you got it. And at some point, I guess, in the series that we're doing, we probably will dedicate a webinar just to how do I share stuff. What is the CMDB? How do I feed a CMDB? What does that do for Cherwell? I've got a couple of questions around that, so we'll probably address that in a future webinar as well. So next question is, when you're going into some of the service catalog, one of the questions came around is, hey, I've got a catalog, but boy, the catalog that is in Cherwell 7 is cleaner or crisper. How do I get to that catalog? And then another customer asked about, when I threw up some of those portal designs, how do I, if I want to go create my own or use somebody else's catalog. So Eric, can you speak to a little bit about moving from an existing catalog to a new catalog and what that looks like if you're moving from one version to the next?
Yep. So if you're doing an upgrade, for those of you that have done upgrades, you're familiar with Cherwell and how they do things. So when you upgrade, Cherwell does not touch your content. So content being the customizations that you made. If you do upgrade from a previous version to 6 or 7, the catalog we saw was actually introduced within 6. You don't necessarily get that through the upgrade. However, it's actually pretty easy to get. You do have to go into the code, but it's not difficult. Do it all the time. But basically, we just grab the service catalog code. We can add that into your existing system. It's not scary. It may sound scary, but it's really not. But it's pretty easy to do. I would recommend that we would kind of show you how to do it instead of telling you. But it is definitely something you can get, that service catalog view. You can also get the new portal views as well. So we can export those dashboards and because they really are dashboards, the portals. We can export that and you can have those as well in any other themes. So again, it would be something that I would recommend we kind of walk you through, but it is possible to get that service catalog view.
And that's a good example, Eric. You kind of hinted to it, right? That's why we created the Upgrade Factory, right? We help customers work through some of those things. It's not just as simple as getting from one version to the next, but how do we take advantage of some of these new features?
Right.
So another question here is, so the question was around onboarding new employees, and can you configure a standard new employee that requests standard equipment, standard software? So if I know that every year we're going to hire 30 new people in engineering, and those people always need this equipment and this type of configuration. So can you create a standard template of what a new employee would look like that they could select in the new hire process?
Yeah, so yeah, we can definitely do that. There's a few ways we can do it. But, one way kind of off the top of my head is we can create a one-step that pre-populates fields for us. It creates tasks. Maybe they always have the same hardware, same software they can install. We can do that. We can drive that off of drop-down. So maybe we have a position drop-down. Maybe that's an engineer. So, they can choose that, and that drives workflow for us. That's the cool thing about Cherwell is it's very flexible in how we can create different workflows through combinations of fields and one-steps and automation processes. It's definitely something we could do.
So Eric, one of my favorite questions, I'm going to assume this is one of your existing customers, is how long is Eric's beard today? I'm not sure what that's got to do with Cherwell 7. But I guess you're growing it as the versions come out, your beard increases in length. Is that accurate?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. So next question is, so talking about the widget that shows the legend of the graphics in Cherwell. Let's see, hold on, let me read this again. Graphics in Cherwell are able to, but yeah, so so the graphic, that legend graphic, if you were using the client version, you could adjust and move that, but that did not work on the web version, I'm assuming. So does that make sense?
I don't think I quite understand the question.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go back. I'll ask them to give me a little more detail as we go through these next ones here. So we talked about the journal and modifying the descriptions there. So another question on how to modify that description on journal. So this is back when you're looking at the ticket and you have the journals, almost like what you've got on the screen there now. With mail history, can you change how details are displayed? Say you want the body to appear first. Does that make sense?
So yep. So on the email history, that is actually just a straight email capture. So that pulls in the email. That's you see the email how it is, how it gets submitted to Cherwell. So that's not editable on how that's viewed. But let's say a ticket was submitted via email. So I send an email into IT support at whatever.com. We can pull in the body of that email into the description. We can pull in any information we want into the description, however we want it to display. That we can definitely customize in how it's seen in the description of the ticket.
So I actually, this is the first time this question's ever been asked on the webinar here. Does our upgrade factory, is there a cost for using our upgrade factory? So the answer to that is yes and no. If a customer is purely interested in getting from version 6 to version 7, they're not worried about any functionality and changes. They don't want any of the new stuff. They just want to be on the latest release, or they're on 5 and they want to go to 6. They don't want to be on 7, right? They don't want to be on the very latest. We typically don't charge for that. We're here to help customers. If you've spent any time on our website, you see that we're generating white papers explaining how to do Cherwell password reset, and we're really all about helping customers use Cherwell beyond any way they thought possible, because we firmly believe if we do a good job with that, you will continue to do business with us whenever you have that opportunity. So if it's as simple as, I just want from this version to that version, don't care about functionality, no charge for those. If you're saying, hey, I really would like to take advantage of some of these new pieces that's out there, then we help scope what that looks like and can give you some recommendations. Typically those are not weeks and weeks and weeks worth of work. It's usually a small amount of time to help you take advantage of moving to some of this new stuff. So hope that answers that question. So we got 3 minutes left. Eric, I got a few other questions I'm going to ask you, but I do want to bring this up because it's hinted to a couple of times in some of the questions. They're asking different things about integration. So I mentioned SCCM. I had several questions about, we're interested in integrating with SCCM. We didn't know we could do that with Cherwell. The beautiful part of Cherwell is you can just about hook it to anything if there's a good reason to do that. We've seen some customers try to make some interfaces that were not well. So I pose this question back to the group here, and Eric, if you can you go back and put my slide up that's got my email address, that landing slide, that last one we've got? If you've got an integration or you're curious, can Cherwell do this? If you will email me directly. Can you do it, Eric? You need me to do it?
No, I'm still locked. You'll have to take that.
Yeah, okay. So let me go back to this right there. There we go. Does that pop up, Eric, resources?
I won't see it. I mean, yeah, literally, I'm.
Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. I got people telling me it popped up. Thank you, everyone, for being so good on your chat sessions today. So you've got my contact information there. If you've got an integration or you're curious, can Cherwell do this? Let us know. This is the stuff we absolutely love. We're great at the ITIL, ITSM, the boring help desk stuff that everybody has to do all day, every day. We do that stuff with no problem. We get excited when we see Beyond IT or other integrations, or can we make a call I was on the other day. They're trying to build a fleet management system for 450 distributed network of grocery stores, and they want to be able to track, did I change the wiper blades on this truck? Did I rotate the tires? That stuff, although it would be boring in my personal life, it works. Suddenly it's exciting to see Cherwell doing those things. I got several questions, Eric, whenever you were talking about change management, and I asked a question about the approvals. And the question came up, and I'm going to assume from who asked this question that they're healthcare related by the way they asked the question, is they wanted to be able to use third-party tools like a DocuSign or Adobe's signature. They need to be able to grant access from people external of their company that they're actually going to go through and do an approval. So I know that we've got part of our team looking at some of those integration points of how do we take DocuSign so that somebody does a digital signature, it updates and works with Cherwell. You got any additional comments to add to that other than yes, and we're working on it? Do you get any more detail there?
Yes, we are working on it, like you said. But, we can send, if you want a formal approval, let's say it's a third-party, approval, mentioned before about customers, and those are assumed to be in your Active Directory, but we can do the email approvals to anybody. So, you can do an email approval to, Matthew through his email address, and he can approve it. So, we can do that as far as completely external approvals. But as far as the document signing, we are in the process of working on that integration.
Yeah, good question. All right, so we're a minute over on our presentation today. I do appreciate everyone attending. You've got my email account there. You heard me mention that we're going to do a change management deep dive for some customers. If you would like to see something in this series, I know that next month in December, I think it's early December, December 9th, we're working on a customer spotlight. We're going to show how they're doing portal design, and we're really going to highlight how they're doing things with Cherwell that are not traditional. We'll touch on their traditional IT stuff, but we want you to get a feel of some of these other things. So it'll be a customer spotlight that we're hosting in December. Look forward to seeing you participate in that. But if you've got other things you'd like to see us do, or you're interested in being a part of what we've got going on here and being on a customer spotlight because you've got some cool stuff going on with Cherwell, we'd love to host that and have you a part of that as well. Just give me an email there, mpeoples@ampemail.com. With that, I'm going to stop the recording and look forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you. Have a great day.